Instagram and TikTok, YouTube and Kick and Twitch. We should invite them all to the party, right? Ooh, Mush Cult. You've read it? It planted seeds. Thank you, Nella. I was going to put in a different pair that was made by somebody on TikTok, and I wanted to tell you guys about them, but my ears needed stretching, so it's crows today. Island planted seeds in my brain that have continued to grow. That have continued to grow in quite interesting ways. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what to do with the seeds that it planted in my head. Thanks, Aldous Huxley. Yeah. Hey, Cap, how are you? Sí, mijo, ¿qué tú quieres? What do you want? What do you need? ¿Qué necesitas? 2 more of what? What? I had a veg lasagna, you had a veg lasagna, that's all I had.
No, there was 4.
No, I only bought 2. I love you. Guess what? Today's a good day to stop giving a fuck. Sorry. I am doing well. Ooh. Allie, okay, sorry, I missed some stuff here. Allie, what do I recommend doing first thing after waking up in the morning? Allie, are you new here, or is that a genuine, because I have a thing that I suggest pretty often. Good morning, Will, for starting your day. I really believe that, I have learned in my process, on my path, that sadhana, a daily practice, is imperative to building a trusting relationship with myself, right? The foundation of everything that evolves, or that comes from me, that is rooted within me, is seated in the garden of self-trust, is seated in the garden of my relationship with myself. And every day is just that day, right? Tomorrow never really comes, and yesterday is just a memory. So if I'm going to build a trusting relationship with myself, it has to be every single day. However, if I don't know how to trust myself, if I've never really loved myself or trusted myself or had a quality relationship with myself, that can be hard to be like, well, what do I need exactly every morning? And I'm also not a static creature. And so the same thing every morning is not going to satisfy the dynamic reality that is my system. So my suggestion is 5 minutes. I even say, if you wake up to an alarm, set a timer. And spend those 5 minutes just listening to your inner self. Right when you wake up, first thing, keep your eyes closed, put your hands on your heart, or whatever else feels appropriate to you. You can grab a mudra, or you can just lay there with your eyes closed and just listen as your mind comes out of the theta and delta brainwaves, right? The sleep time, dream time brainwaves, and up into the alpha, beta, right? As you start to wake up, watch that process, because that is the subtle space before your mind is completely online, where you do already have access to these subtle layers of the self. And in that way, if you meet whatever comes up in that space with curiosity and willingness, we can't always muster self-love. We can't always muster positive feelings, right? Because sometimes they're just not there. But if we can suspend judgment or fear long enough to just be curious, then spend those 5 minutes being curious about what's within you. I know that for me, it was one of the most powerful things that I did to develop that relationship, so that the parts of myself that were more vulnerable, that were staying back, that were a little bit more hidden, and I don't know, you're kind of aggressive and that self-talk sucks, right? So I have parts of myself that are vulnerable, that hide from the me that's not so gentle. So I spend 5 minutes every day being very gentle with myself and just meeting myself, whatever comes up. And anything else on top of that is a boon. Anything else on top of that, I don't, whatever practice you have for self-love, self-care, whatever it is, great, fantastic. 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes every single day, if you can muster it. If you can't, start with 3. Start with 1. I don't care where you start, but start. Mush cold. It does make me believe utopia is possible. Island. Good morning, badass blind woman. Okay. Who else? Who needs to be here? Do we have Kick? We have Twitch. Everybody online? I feel like I'm missing a window here. No. No. There he is. I'm live. Oh, look, I have a troll over on Kick first thing. Adelican? Hey, homie. I checked your videos. Seems like you are new in Kick and not yet affiliated and verified. I got a proposal for you. By sharing your stream to a Kick community for you to gain 1,000 followers, earning at least $1,000 per stream, and enable sub button. Add me on Discord to discuss more at Henrry, HENRRY 90. Sorry, friend. Not interested. Funny way to market, though. Funny way to market yourself. Anybody else find it funny that people come into your DMs asking you if they can do your SEO? Hey, Derek, good morning. Do your SEO for you or do this thing for you? Oh, look, I'm here to help you. Look how generous I am. No, you're not. You're just coming into my fucking DMs to solicit. It's like coming to my fucking house or coming to my fucking phone and being like, hi, do you need the service? No, I would have called you if I needed the service. Today's a good day to stop giving a fuck. Beware. Beware, my friends. I don't know what is going to happen in this space, but fuck have I been enjoying this mudra. Have you guys been doing this mudra? Have you guys been doing the mudra this week? Okay, I think I have all the channels open so I can see the chats. Yep. We are live and kicking. And I'll bring these up. Nikki, hey, welcome, good morning. Yes, I've been practicing the mudra, but I'm struggling a bit to get it right. So, this mudra is funky, and it's funny because I almost didn't do this mudra because I want these mudras to be accessible, but I also don't want to not share mudras that are effective and useful. The mudra, oh shit. It is a mudra because it is the cow mudra. It is the cow mudra. Okay, Surabhi. I was actually listening to a mantra this morning. So each week, these mudras, I practice them on my own. I practice them every morning. I often will look for mantras and breath work that are associated with them so that I can give you guys kind of a well-rounded package. So if you guys are interested in the mudra, I'm happy to share it today. It is a Sanskrit mudra. And as you know, I am still learning my Sanskrit. So I apologize if my pronunciation is not perfection, but I encourage you to work with your own Sanskrit, right? So you can get it when you're saying it. Or just find it online and listen to it. So many channels. That said, if anyone has tech skills and would like to trade them for coaching services and other things, please reach out and let me know. See me whole. Do you need a hug before I start class? Okay. Hold on, guys. I haven't been eating a lot of it, okay? Okay, put it on the list right here, and why don't we go today to the grocery store? Because there's a couple things I need too. Okay? Okay. I love you. I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a shaky morning for you, huh? Yeah. No, have some fun, Diamond. Have some donuts and boil some eggs. Okay? If you want to finish all those donuts, if you want to fill your space with donuts and leave me zero, I might shed a tear, but I will understand. Okay? Don't stress yourself out, mister. Okie dokie artichoke? It's Veggie. Veggie. Cap, do we need more fingers this time? Your fingers are sore. Uh-oh. So we need to adjust the mudra. We need to adjust the mudra so we're not getting sore fingers or... Guru Jared, hello. What kind of skills do I need help with? I need assistance with... I need somebody to manage tech while I'm live. I have several platforms. I'm live on 5 platforms at once. I need someone to do audio editing for me. I need someone to do video editing for me. I need at least 2 moderators for the Discord space. Badass blind woman. I'm no punk. I can deal with it. Yes, but remember, we're not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves. Right? Remember that whole 5 minutes in the morning just being curious? It's a similar sentiment. There are so many ways where we force ourselves throughout the day, push ourselves to get it right. And I invite you when you practice these mudras not to put that pressure on yourself, not to create that tension. So if that means you can't do the mudra exactly as it is pictured or as I show you here, it doesn't mean it's okay. Right? Meet yourself where you're at. Awesome, Guru Jared. Reach out to me and let me know. Are you in the Discord yet? I know that you've been in here for a while. Okay. So let's work with our mudra. Hey, B! Ah! Damn it. I knew there was a reason I was up at like 7 something this morning. I was like, there's something I'm excited about. What am I going to get up and do this morning? And I wanted to join you live. I wanted, because your live is before mine. And I was like, oh, I can get up and hang out with her before I go live. Ha! Okay. So, ooh, went for the hug at 11:11. Nice. 1:11, I mean. If anybody is interested in some morning yoga and joining somebody who is putting themselves out there to, one, keep their own accountability, right? And also to share their practice and to share their process with the world, this is the kind of authenticity, right, that I think we're really evolving into, is using these spaces to just share who we are and share what we're doing and share what has been beneficial to us. And B, you do that so well. I love not just your lives, but your content as well. So if you guys haven't followed B yet, I'm going to pin you, my love. Give B a follow if you're interested in yoga, if you're interested in just any wellness stuff. If you're in here and you like my content, I'm sure you'll like B's too. So go follow her. Okay. So, in listening to the mantra, I realized that I can correct my Sanskrit. So, this is the Surabhi Mudra. Surabhi. Surabhi. Surabhi Mudra. And it means cow in Sanskrit. So, this is the cow mudra or cow face mudra. And it is done like so. Remember, this is a bit of a twisty, a little bit of a kinky one. So if you can't quite get it into this position, I encourage you to play with it. I encourage you to adjust your hands. I encourage you to bring it closer, further away, and see how close you can get to the mudra. I saw you just joined. Thank you, Guru Jared. Welcome, welcome. All right. So Remember as I go through this, because it's a little bit, it's got right and left crossovers. Your right fingers go over the left. So we're going to start with the rings. Bring your right ring finger to cross over your left. Bring the pads of the pinkies, hey James, to touch the opposite finger. So that's my left pinky touching my right ring, my right pinky touching my left ring. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing with the next fingers. Middle finger, cross your right over the left. So the left is behind the right. And then touch your left index to the right middle. Right index to the left middle. And touch your thumbs together. I do find that when I'm twisting my fingers like this a little bit, right? So my palms are not exactly parallel. This becomes a lot easier. So I invite you to twist your hands a little bit, get those connections made, and then bring your thumbs back to touch, just enough. You see that my palms are not perfectly aligned? Can you see that there? Right? Because it's not easy to get into that position when they're perfectly aligned. I do find it creates a little bit more tension. When I bring it in here, it is intended to be held at the heart, or at least along the sternum. So I find it's a little easier to hold when it's lower on my sternum. Ah, Guru Jared, thank you so much. I've been learning Sanskrit a little bit over the last several years. I love the sound of Sanskrit. I am a big fan of mantras and I've been listening to them. Actually, there is an album of mantras that I have been called to listen to since my son was born. I found the album and it's almost our every single night. Although lately we've been using like frequency tones, hertz tones to fall asleep to. But these are our Sanskrit prayers every single night. But I would like to learn a lot more. So if you have good resources, or if you yourself are a good resource, I would be deeply appreciative of any guidance that you could offer in terms of Sanskrit pronunciation. So thank you. Okay, so this was our Surabhi Mudra. And it rests here at the heart or just below the heart. What does this mudra do? This mudra balances the element of air in the body, the vata dosha in the body. This mudra opens the manipura, opens our solar plexus chakra. It assists with cough and bile disorders, right? It improves memory. It reduces inflammation, particularly of the joints. Partially because we're in this little thing here, right? Particularly of the joints. It awakens empathy. And this mudra assists in releasing, in us realizing our divine gifts, our innate truths, our innate. Remember we talked on Monday how when I was little, I had this vision that we all are born with a little spark of something special, a little golden nugget, right? Something unique, something no one else has to give to the world. One piece of the puzzle that no one else can offer. It is our gift to give to the world. It is our unique song to sing, to resonate from our being. But because of our early experiences and the nature of our reality, a lot of times this spark gets hidden. This golden nugget gets sheltered, and layers are built, and armor and doors and boxes are built around this thing, ultimately to protect it. Not to hide it, but to protect it. And so many of us find ourselves later on in life going, what's my purpose? What's my gift? What's my calling? What's my thing? This mudra can assist us in clearing that, in clearing those blockages. And I find it interesting too because of the other things. So the things that this mudra does to the physical body are very much the things that assist in us realizing that potential. For example, the solar plexus. This opens the manipura, opens the solar plexus. This is our center for will. This is our interaction with the world. This is the way we affect the world and interact with the world. This is my ability to do things, to will my desires into creation, to interact, right, with the physical reality. So from that place, cultivating will, cultivating courage, cultivating autonomy. Because in child development, when the solar plexus is developing, we are also going through the stage of autonomy versus shame and doubt. So if we are feeling shame and doubt, it's going to be difficult to bring those truths up, right? To bring our gifts out into the world because we feel doubtful of them and shameful maybe even of them, right? And we're not sure if they're really our gifts or if they're really welcome out in the world. And then it works on cough and bile disorders. So this channel right here, where that energy is going to come up and be manifested through the voice, through the throat, on the breath, right? Reduces inflammation, particularly in the joints. What are the joints for? Movement, flexibility, fluidity. To move myself out of rigidity. Because when I am rigid and the tides of life rise to meet me, right? The hurricanes of life blow through me. If I am rigid, if I am stiff, I am blown down. I'm going to experience pain and tension when those storms and waters rise. But if I am flexible, then I bend and sway when life shifts around me. And the universe is going to move around me. It constantly is moving around me and through me. But if I am rigid, it becomes stuck. Those channels become narrow, and that's when we feel pressure, tension. So to truly be in line or tuned to our gifts, those gifts which are aligned with the truth of the universe, we must also maintain that flexibility. This gift is not some selfish little thing or some isolated, I don't know how else to describe that. This gift is always the gift that benefits all beings. Right? The piece of the puzzle to our collective evolution, to our collective self-actualization. What else does this mudra do? It improves memory. So it clears the mind, it assists the mind in doing the things that it does to help us understand our path, our past, and our future. Which ultimately influence our presence, right? All right. Alan, Earth is the schoolyard, and we, the students, we all take our own courses and graduate at our time. Another insight I had when I was a kid, I started having past life dreams. Same dream every night, over and over and over again. Visceral experiences in said dream. And during that summer, I remember coming to the understanding and having these realizations, like the way I described it as a kid was the soul is a library. And through experience, we energetically shift our frequency through experience and understanding. Through turning experience, information into understanding, right? And turning information into experience. And so gaining the wisdom which raises our vibration, clarifies our systems. And when I was a kid, I used to see it like books. You know, I'm a huge bookworm, right? So I saw all of these books, and I thought about all of these books from all of these lifetimes that I can bring in within my energy, within my understanding. And that does not make me better or worse than anyone else. Only my own experience is what I had to pause there because my own experience, the paradox is it's my experience and everyone's experience. It's the collective experience and the subjective experience all at the same time. Micro, macro, paradoxically. All right. Hey, Katie, how are you? Are we students if we choose to be? Are we playground bullies if we choose to be? We are always the student and the teacher. We are always the bully and the victim. We are always the mother and the child, or the parent and the child. We are always all the pieces in one. That's why we say in this space, you are your own guru. There are a lot of gurus out there. Thank you, friend. There are a lot of people out there that you can learn from, that we can receive information from when we value their experience as informative, as an opportunity for us to learn and grow and expand our understanding. All right. Let's sit for a few minutes with this mudra. Remember, on Monday, we sit for just 5 minutes with the mudra because 5 minutes is about how long it takes for this energy to circulate, through your system. So today, we're going to sit for a little longer, and despite the, oh, wow, good job. Good catching yourself. I caught myself. I've been listening, as I said before, to the mantra that's the Surabhi mantra. Despite feeling very insecure about my Sanskrit, I am going to go ahead and chant this mantra. If you'd like to join me with it, fantastic. I'm going to say it a couple of times out loud, and I encourage you to take it and do it within your system, because I'm going to say it a couple times out loud, and then I'm going to bring it into my system so that I can relieve myself of some of the activity in my Manipura, and some of the discomfort in my Manipura, and allow this chakra or the mudra to do the work of opening that space. So I'm going to do the thing that I feel doubtful about. Oh, Jay Falcon, you watched The Mass You Live In. I'm so grateful you did. It's got a really powerful message, yes? Okay. So the mantra is Om Shri Surabhi Namaha. Om Shri Surabhi Namaha. Om Shri Surabhi Namaha. All right. Let's go ahead and close our eyes as we settle in for our practice. Grab your mudra. Let's do this one more time in case you don't have your mudra, in case you're just filtering in. This is the Surabhi Mudra, and we're going to do it. It goes like so. Okay. Bring your palms together. Thank you, Guru. That's why I am putting myself out there and letting myself express it, knowing that I'm never going to get it if I don't try. And I'm never going to feel confident if I'm not brave, even when I'm scared, right? Even when I'm doubtful. Okay, you're watching growth in real time. Okay, guys, let's do this mudra together. Bring your palms together. You don't have to have them this far out. I'm just putting them out here so that you can see it. Okay, so remember that your right goes over your left, okay? So start with your ring fingers. Pull your fingers apart. And then when you cross your ring fingers, right over left. Right ring finger over the left. Bring the pinkies to touch the opposite fingers. So that's my left pinky touching my right ring finger. Right ring finger touching my right pinky touching my left ring finger. Okay. Next, we're going to do the same thing with the other fingers on top. Middle fingers, cross them. Right middle finger over left. Pointer finger, left pointer finger touches the right middle. Right pointer touches the left middle. This always reminds me of a fence, right? Looks like one of those fences where you just stack the logs up there. Now remember, this is a little difficult to get into. So notice that I am twisting my palms open a little bit. Hey Brian, how are you? Opening my palms like so, twisting them a little bit so that I can get the connections on my fingers. Once you have these connections on your fingers, go ahead and bring your thumbs to touch, being mindful not to lose those connections. Someone asked me yesterday or Monday if we use the weight of a nickel, because if you've been in this class for a while, right, if you've been here for a while, you know that with mudras, I always suggest no more pressure than the weight of a nickel. Because these connections, these are energy, we're working with energy here. So when I'm working with energy, it's a subtle force. I don't need gross motor pressure, right? I don't need to create tension here that's going to block those channels. So loosen up a little bit, find some flexibility in your mudra. And then we're going to sit for a little more than 5 minutes. We're going to sit for a few minutes with our mudra. We're going to add the mantra, and we're going to add a little bit of visualization to close. Okay. Lee, it is a little bit sticky. Like I said, I encourage you to play with the mudra and find what works for you. So this mudra is intended to be held on your, thank you friend, held on your sternum, either up here close to your heart or lower on your sternum is just fine. Remember that this works on the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra as well, and also, but generally this channel of that energy lifting up and coming out your system, affecting the world, interacting with the world. What is the cow in Hinduism? It's about abundance and about creation and mother. It's a cow's milk can feed a baby when the mother can't. That is the nourishment, right? The most basic form of nourishment from the universe. Caring for our children. Caring for the tiny little creations of the universe. Okay, go ahead and close your eyes if it's available to you. You can do this mudra seated upright. You can do it laying down. You can do it while you're walking. Although if you're walking, I recommend not closing your eyes. This is probably not the best one for driving. So if you're driving, pull over and come sit with me, or go ahead and just listen. So let's take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive for our practice. Take that first inhale through the nose, pulling the breath down into your belly. And sigh it out. Inhale again, expanding the rib cage in all directions. Big deep breath. And let it go. Inhale again, lifting the heart and lifting through the top of the head to elongate the spine. Exhale to melt the shoulder blades down the back and gently tuck the chin to bring intention to your posture so your head doesn't float away. Once you complete the exhale, go ahead and seal the lips and just take a few moments to follow the breath. Following the inhale all the way to the top and the exhale all the way to the bottom. This is the most foundational piece of mindfulness, is cultivating our attention and our intention, aligning our attention with our intention. Right now, the intention is just to follow the breath. Hold the mudra. And any tension we find in the system, give it permission to release on the exhale. So if I notice my attention has wandered off to that sound in the background, or the list I've got on my wall, or the thing I forgot to do yesterday, or the discomfort in my fingers, any of these come up, I invite you to redirect your attention to your breath. However, if it's tension in your fingers, or discomfort in your neck or your back, I encourage you to adjust to release that tension. We are not here to create a battle within ourselves. We are not here to create tension. We are cultivating our intention and our attention, releasing any tension. Take all the time you need here. This is an entire practice by itself. The goal is not a quiet mind. The goal is not to levitate. The goal is not any other boon. It is just the practice. It is just the process of being present and aligning intention and attention again and again and again. This is how we create the habit within ourselves. Anytime your attention wanders off, I invite you to bring it back with gentleness. I invite you to invite the attention back rather than force. Invite the attention back to the mudra, to the breath. As you continue with this practice, I invite you to smile at your mudra, smile at your busy mind, smile at the tension in your breath, smile at the fear that flutters in the back of your mind. Offer it a smile and invite all of it to stay here in the present moment. Just relax. Just be. If you would like to add the mantra to your practice, I'm going to repeat it 3 times aloud, and then I invite you to pull the mantra within and say it to yourself out loud. As you're saying this to yourself, well, out loud or in your mind, I encourage you to release perfectionism, as I am attempting to do, and just be present with the sound of the mantra as it resonates within you. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Bring the mantra within, or say it to yourself. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. As you continue with the mantra, I invite you to add a visualization piece if you'd like to, and imagine that there is an energy, a bright yellow sun energy in your belly, in your solar plexus. And as you repeat the mantra again and again and again, that energy begins to lift from the solar plexus through the channels, up, out the crown, out the third eye, out the throat, out the heart. Let it clear the channels above to create an open pathway of expression. Expression of truth, expression of authenticity, expression of the innate, beautiful, miraculous frequency that is uniquely your own. Clear those channels with this mantra. Let the Manipura open and do that work for you. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Notice if tension has built in your mudra and let it go. Keeping the mudra, keeping the integrity of the mudra, bring in tension back, releasing tension. I encourage you to stay with any part of this practice as long as you would like. When you feel complete, before we close our session, I invite you to release the mudra and place your hands palms up in your lap. And for a moment, allow yourself to just be with whatever energy was created by the mantra, by the mudra, by the practice. Be present with whatever is occurring within your system. Notice shifts and changes without the need for a story. Practice again, just meeting whatever is here with curiosity and willingness. Curiosity does not mean that we have the answers or even that we will find them. Curiosity only means that we are willing to receive them. When you feel complete, I invite you to bring your hands together into prayer or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for these tools, this mantra, this mudra, this meat bag that houses that divine spark, that echoes my purpose throughout the entirety of creation. In gratitude for that infinite source of prana that flows through everything in the universe, always moving through the path of least resistance to bring you to your highest good in every moment. Trust that this energy is always flowing through you. Offer yourself some gratitude too for taking this time for self-care today. I'm so fucking proud of you, and I hope you're proud of yourself too. Thank you for joining me and cultivating this CAYA space where we can learn and grow and thrive together authentically. When you are ready to come out of meditation, please do so slowly. Offer yourself wiggles, stretches, but only open your eyes when you're certain that this is the brand of reality you intend to return to. Yep, that looks right. There Eric, I often think of God as a paradox. Yes. All and nothing. Everything and... Ah, badass blind woman, thank you. Hi, Bill. Thank you guys for the gifts. You guys are so sweet. Catherine, have a great day. Mantras are a really powerful practice, and I know that I personally have shied away from using the power of mantras because of my fear around judgment, because of my fear of getting it wrong, even if I'm doing it by myself, right? Even if I'm doing it in my room by myself, no one's watching. I struggle sometimes to truly allow a mantra to resonate within me because of that fear, because of that doubt. However, I can tell you that when I do, when I do let that happen, when I do let the Om open my system, it is within that that you discover the true power of your own frequency. Yes, mantras, right? Mantras guide us towards the expression of our frequency, because the way I Om is going to be through my system, just like yours. We are a collective chorus. My song is uniquely mine, designed just for me. No one else sounds like this exactly. No one else looks, no one else resonates just like this exactly. And if we are a chorus or a symphony, then there's kind of an arrangement, right? And we need all the pieces. If we're trying to play a piece of music without the violin or the piano or the guitar or whatever it is that's an imperative piece of it, then the song is not going to sound proper. The song is not going to sound as it's intended, and it's not going to resonate at its truth, at its authentic expression. Within you is a chorus as well. Every piece of you, every bit, every fraction of your energetic signature coming together to resonate at your unique frequency. So if you are new to mantras, if you are afraid to Om or Om, I encourage you to try. I encourage you to meet yourself with curiosity and willingness. Willingness to feel stupid. Willingness to feel funny. Willingness to be silly. Because in that willingness, allowing ourselves to be whatever we are in the moment, that is the road that leads us toward our authenticity. If I don't allow myself to be these things at any point, then I will never really express my authentic truth, because I'm not allowing myself to. And many, 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 many times we do this thinking that it's the right thing to do, right? We compartmentalize ourselves thinking that we should hide these things away. We shouldn't share these things with the world. We shouldn't be these should. If I remember correctly, the etymology of the word should actually originated as a banking term. And it is relational. It's related to paying your debts. I'll have to look that up to confirm, but I'm pretty sure the word should originated as a banking term related to paying off your debts. You don't owe anyone anything except for yourself. So maybe the only shoulds would be reconciling debts within yourself. Reconciling the pieces, all pieces of yourself. Energy never dies, it only transfers. So I have this energy within me, these various energies within me, and they manifest as various things, from my ego to my negative self-talk, to my defender, to my inner silly goose. All of these parts are an energy bit, signature piece of me. They are the colors of my respective rainbow, right? And I cannot be truly me, the true expression of me, without all those colors. Just like light can't be light without all the colors within it. If you start to take some of those colors out of it, light no longer looks the way that we, right? It's no longer light in the same way. And isn't that the paradox? All the things together make the whole, and the whole is all the things. All the things are part of the whole, not separate from the whole. But because we live in the illusion of that isolation, it's difficult to see the whole. Why is it difficult to see the whole? Because you're part of the whole. Now I need to remember the parable of the twins. The parable of the twins. Two twins conceived in a womb. And as they explored their space, finding their umbilical cord, grateful to the mother who feeds them, right? Grateful for this safe, protected space where they do not want or need for anything. But in this space, they ask, how do we know the mother exists? Well, she provides for us, right? And we are within this space, yes? We can hear her heartbeat, sure, but am I really sure that's her? Am I really sure that's the mother? Am I really sure that I am a creation of her? And as they outgrow their space, the twins ask, what comes after birth? What is life after birth? One of them saying, I do not want to go. I do not want to leave. I am too afraid. What if I am alone out there? What if there is nothing after birth? What if I find the mother isn't even real? In the last moments before birth, they were fearful. But upon being born, right, their expansion, their understanding and experience expanded. And they were able to see the whole, recognize the whole. I'm not telling that well. I need to read that one a couple more times before I try to tell it. The paradox is that God is within us and we are within God. The illusion is that we are separate from God. And in our ignorance of our inclusion in God, we come up with all of these ways to represent the God that we are part of as a separate representation. We find all these ways to find God, get to God, meet God, return to. But in arguing over different colors, we miss the whole. Blind men of the elephant. If I am standing at the trunk of the elephant, my perspective is going to be as such. If someone else is standing at the ass of the elephant, their perspective is going to be very different. And they may choose far different bits of knowledge and ways of being to suit themselves and their own lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is when we argue, right, whether the ass or the head of the elephant is better. But that is, again, in our ignorance, that we argue over which side of the whole, which part of the whole is better or worse than the other. This is the illusion of creation. This is the illusionary space that we are in. And that light, divinity, creation source, prana, flows through this illusionary space. And what happens when light goes through a prism? It separates into all the colors that make up light. The light that we see all around is made up of every color of that rainbow. And so through the illusion, I see the separateness of each color. But I must remember still that in my ignorance, I cannot see the entire spectrum available in all of creation, right? My eyes and my ears are very limited as human. I can only perceive so much. Even if I understand that my perception is limited, I cannot get beyond my inability to perceive past my subjective experience. I can use tools, I can listen to other people, I can read other people's books, I can study things, I can travel the world. Everything I receive is going to echo within me. Because my entire experience of the world is only happening within me. When I recognize that, then I can begin to acknowledge how my lens colors the world. Some comments in the live were filters to protect the game user experience. Guys, I don't have filters on TikTok, so it's whatever the system is automatically filtering. Hey, Bill. Yes, Chelsea, ravens and crows are supposedly very colorful, but the colors are beyond our visual scope of light. If you see a blackbird of any sort, they are actually very colorful birds. All those colors are within them. The medicine oftentimes of those birds, whether it be the magpie or the crow or the raven, these birds all are representations of the illusion of reality and the magic that comes with understanding that illusion. Crow is very much about the keeper of universal law and understanding that separation and that illusion, right? Understanding the truth within the illusion. Raven is so much about the magic within it. Raven manages more the law of magic, right? Whereas Crow is the law of the illusion. My favorite story of Crow is that Crow, as we know, likes shiny things, right? Likes special little things. Crow, seeing her own reflection, became so obsessed with her own reflection that she pecked at it and scratched at it and pecked at it and scratched at it until it became alive and ate her. So now the crow we see is actually Crow's reflection. And in this way, Crow has the ability to go between worlds, to shape shift through the illusion, because Crow has figured out how to be the reflection and to reflect back. Right? Powerful, powerful. Law of illusion, law of shape shifting. There is so much that we cannot perceive. Sometimes I just want to pause and go, in all of our certainty, in all of our knowing, we still remain exceptionally ignorant. And for many years, I attempted manifestation in the way that I believed and that it was given to me, right? If I focus, if I work really hard, if I toil and sweat and strive in the material world, and then if I focus my attention, and clear my mind and do all of these things in my head, then I'm going to manifest the things that I want in my life. I'm going to manifest that new car. I'm going to manifest that big bank account. I'm going to manifest the perfect job and perfect relationship, right? If I just work hard enough, if I just toil, if I just stress, if I just create enough tension, then I can do the thing. But something I found really funny in my own exploration and in my own practices of this is I kept wanting to say, well, how do I know if that's really for me? Like, sure, right now, where I'm standing from this little, really narrow, ignorant spot, it does look really nice to have this big old house, right? It totally looks really nice because these are the trappings of the illusion and also the trappings that I have been taught that I want and I need. And so I'm already operating out of my ignorance when I attempt to then manifest these things for myself. But the truth is if something is not really matching with my frequency, then it's never going to really fit well in my life. It was when I began to manifest by invitation, by acceptance, that is when life actually became abundant. The old adage of the road rising up to meet you. If you would like to experience the road rising up to meet you, stop trying to run down the road and attempt to, right? Be with reception. Be receptive. Gingerbread, that's why you did not jump at a big job offer. Lots of money doesn't mean happiness. In this last 2 years of building this online presence and doing this stuff and holding classes and whatnot, I've only been holding classes for a year and a half, maybe. I have had countless offers of various different kinds of jobs, right? From Lemon 8, you guys know Lemon 8? Lemon 8 reached out to me and wanted me to make business related, job related content. Really your like very typical like this is how I got into my career and this is how you write a resume and this is how you do that. And I'm like, I could create that content. I've done that stuff before. I've had very large incomes. I've had very small incomes. I've had very, very busy jobs. I've had very chill jobs, right? But the magic right now, the process right now for me is authenticity. And so each of these opportunities that comes to me, because the universe is fucking abundant, like really abundant. Opportunity is everywhere if we choose to see it, right? It is only in our ignorance that we don't see it. So in my ignorance, how am I going to know if that job is really for me, right? Sure, money doesn't mean happiness, but maybe that job is the thing that's going to allow me to express my truth authentically in such a way that it does bring me a higher, not just happiness, but joy and presence and authentic expression, authentic truth within my life. But from my place of ignorance, how am I going to know? How am I going to know? I ask myself a couple of things usually. One, first I say, is this for me or is it not for me? And if there is an immediate nope, then okay, it's not for me. But if there's a part of me that says, I don't know, maybe it is, or there's a part of me that says, yes, it's totally for me, then the next question I ask, is this inclusive of all parts of me and all the people I care about in my life and whatnot? Like, is this an inclusive decision or is this an exclusive decision? If I take this job, is it going to make me exclude or force me to exclude something that's important to me or someone that's important to me? Is this job inclusive of the things that I really want and the truths that I have to share with the world in this moment and in my understanding of myself, right? No. Money itself doesn't mean happiness, but neither do mudras, neither does meditation, neither does food, neither does any of these things. None of these things mean happiness. Happiness is a state of being that we cultivate. And that happiness echoes out into our world, especially, more so, abundantly so, when we make those decisions from a place of authentic understanding of ourselves as well as authentic expression of ourselves. Chelsea, Frustrated and want to pause and step out of your avatar, to see all things? Is that rage quitting? um, I don't believe that we have to step out of our avatar to see the whole. That's the magic. That's the paradox. Is within it we can actually see the whole. And there are actually a lot of ways to do that. Hey, Acid TV, how are you? There are a lot of ways to do that. A lot of them are, well, okay. So one of my favorite ways, if I am feeling disconnected from the world, is I remember one of the things that my mother said. You guys will hear a lot from my mother through me in this space. She had a lot of wisdoms. But she said that, yeah, you can see right? You can see the distance between yourself and that tree over there. But the truth is that we're not in an empty space. We're not in a void. We're in a soup. She goes, it's she told me this while I was eating alphabet soup, right? So I've got little A's and stars and B's and letters in my soup. She's like, you see all the different letters in your soup, stars and things? Yeah. But they're all in the soup, right? They're part of the soup, right? Yeah, okay. So then she'd bring it out into the world and she'd point it to the tree outside and she goes, you see that tree right there? You and that tree are in the same soup. What do you think happens when you inhale? And she'd take my spoon and move my spoon across the soup. When I inhale, not only do I just receive breath, oxygen, but there is an interaction between my inhale and everything within my vicinity to some degree or another. Yes, some of those layers are really, really subtle. Some of them are more direct. For example, there is a pine tree sitting right out there. There is a lot of grass and flowers over there in the yard and out here. And the ocean is just a little ways that way. When I think of these things and I close my eyes and I inhale, recognizing that the ocean and the flowers and the tree all create something for me to receive in that breath, I am inhaling so much more than just oxygen. Close your eyes and imagine yourself in that soup. Take in a breath. And as if it were a soup, see all of the air, energy around you coming in, filling your lungs, filling your belly. And then as you exhale, watch the way the movement of the soup shifts as you send your exhale out to offer it to the trees and the grass and the ocean. We all go through an enculturation process, the process of learning about our culture and learning about how we fit into it. Through this process of enculturation, we are often led away from deeper truths because those deeper truths are not available within the collective, within the culture. If I was born somewhere else, I would have received a different enculturation process and thereby received different perspectives of the universe. Here in the West, our medicine is compartmentalized. Our schedules are compartmentalized with boxes and check marks and lines to separate things. Our medicine says you need to see a different doctor for your head, for your heart, for your foot, for your back, for your ass, for your tits. Like you need different doctors for everybody. Because we've taken each color of the rainbow and we've separated it. Not seeing it as a spectrum of experience and understanding and all of these things interrelated and connected. But culturally, we've got these isolated ideas. So, for those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I'm an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and dubbed your shenanigan shaman. Thank you. I have spent 20 years in the field of human development and wellness across the lifespan, but I spent about 12 plus studying human development and wellness across the lifespan. And the thing that really got me, and the reason I didn't actually finish a degree after 12 years of schooling, I got a lot of certifications, was because I didn't want to study one breadth of knowledge. I went in for child development. And then my mother got sick and I became a caregiver and trained to do so and started working with elders. And when I was working with elders, I realized that the things I was learning in child development were working with elders, were applicable with elders. And I was like, what the fuck? So I went back to college after she got well and studied gerontology. And then tried to bridge the gap through philosophy and psychology and spirituality. Because again, usually your psychologist, right, is not going to, they're compartmentalized. And what I found within that were really exciting truths, really exciting things overlapped. Funny enough, my brain, sorry, this is kind of my soapbox because I went to school for it, and human development and wellness is like the thing that gets my brain super excited. So sometimes my energy starts to get like this about it, and I start to go in a bunch of different angles. So I'm going to slow down a little bit here, and I'm going to respond to some comments, and then we're going to get back to this development stuff. Gingerbread. You feel as if you're placed here to help combine these worlds. They should have never been separated. I think that's the collective work that a lot of us are doing right now. We are in a unique situation in a global way that we can access, not everyone, right? But we can reach across the world in ways that we were never able to before. And so by the very nature of that reach now, we are bridging that gap. I can speak to someone who can teach me the Sanskrit rather than me having to go through, years and a whatever and like, hey, Kathy, how are you? We are bringing all of these things together. Culturally, we're bringing each other together, right? We're coming together. Within ourselves, we're reconciling duality within ourselves. Because to be authentic, we can't be operating in this either or sort of. The solar and lunar create the experience. You will never remove yourself from the dualistic nature of the illusion until you leave the illusion. That is the paradox, the integration between the illusion of isolation, the illusion of separation, the fact that I have a right and a left. That's not going to change. But in my journey towards authenticity, that is where I begin to notice the overlaps, the interlaps, the strings that connect each piece. My heart is over here, a bit to the left of my sternum. But when my heart chakra gets triggered in a particular way, I feel that in my right pinky finger. Sometimes we see the body as these two separate parts. But in our development, part of our development is to bridge those parts. Yes? Even in the brain itself. And if I don't bridge these two sides, I do not function very, very well in this world. My brain and my body both suffer. Cappy, this is awesome. Before I started losing my vision, you were a hospice nurse. No, don't shut up. What? You're like, now I'll shut up. Great. What? No, 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 no. I want to know about your experience. Leb, excitement is a great energy to ride. It tells you you're on your own right track. Yes, and. Yes, and. Right? That excitement, that giddiness. In seeking that excitement, that giddiness in and of itself is its own tension, right? And that tension will build the muscle of me walking this path and using these things and learning these things. But the more I integrate the understandings that were creating that excitement and tension, the less of that I start to feel about it. Because it becomes integrated into understanding and truth and becomes less exciting because it's no longer new and shiny and it is because I am still in the midst of discovering and unraveling and pulling apart and reconstructing this human development and wellness thing. This is my life purpose. This is my, as I've come to understand it, my authentic journey is to bridge these gaps, is to do the work of saying, you know, in child development, they say that we need routine, right? Get your children on a schedule, says Dr. Sears and Dr. Spock and Dr. whoever the fuck. Get your kids on a schedule. Your schedule. Time when they eat, time when they sleep. Tell them what to eat. Tell them when to sleep. Tell them how to sleep. Teach them to ignore their truth. Teach them to fall in line. Teach them to respect the boxes of their culture. And then when we go into end of life, we understand that when the mind remains rigid throughout our lives, this is one of the big things that leads to cognitive deterioration. Wait, so if I spend my life doing the same things over and over and over and create these habits and create these compartmentalizations and these, manage all of my minutes of my time, wait, that deteriorates my brain. What they're teaching in child development about our children and telling us as parents is the thing that leads to our cognitive decline later in life. But it's the thing that supports the culture, doesn't it? But you can go to schools for child development and you'll learn that. Or you can go to school for gerontology and you'll learn that. But there's not a degree in putting all those pieces together and seeing how they fit and realizing that there's some paradoxical shit in there. And when we bridge that gap and look at all those pieces, now we discover more profound truths, deeper truths. Cappy, and when you're not doing the calling of your purpose, shit happens or things become dull. Sometimes I like to think about it like bowling. And again, we talk about purpose or dharma not from kind of a dogmatic place, but from an energetic place. If I have a unique energy signature, then I'm going to manifest within that unique energy signature, and that's going to echo out in my life, and the things that are for me have to fit within that signature as well. So we're not going to go dogmatic on it. We're just going to say, by my energy and all the pieces that contribute to my energy, there is a purpose for that energy. There is a peak for that energy. There is a chord that resonates just right when you hit it, right? When you find it. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to clarify that. That's what we're talking about in terms of purpose or dharma or destiny and things like that. Now, I like to think about it like bowling. I am going for the full strike, right? There's those pins at the end, and that is the ultimately the gift or the fulfillment of my purpose. But if you've ever been bowling, you know that it's not easy to hit that directly in the middle, right? And then I'll add to it, because the bowling lane is not perfectly slick and straight, is it? No, no, no. Our bowling lanes are like blah, blah, blah. And the universe puts bumpers up. Well, maybe there's ditch, right? There's bumpers and there's also a ditch. If we get to the edges and we hit those bumpers and we get bounced back, we're like, oop, okay. Oop, okay. But usually we fall in the ditch first. Time and time and time again, we'll fall in that ditch until we learn to not fall in that ditch. And that's when we create those bumpers for us. When we learn to go, oh, I'm tipping out. Whoa, this isn't it. And it's not because somebody's punishing you. It's not because someone is out to get you, or God is punishing you for being sinful because you're not doing what he, yeah. It's just that these things don't align with your frequency. These things don't fit your shape and size and color. When we go to find lipstick or makeup, we match it with our skin tone. When I go to find clothing, I match it with my body type and size and design, and then also the things that I like, right? These are things that suit me because of the way that I am, or the way that I want to be. Dharma, frequency, purpose is the same thing. And there are things that fit me very well and things that don't. But I can cause myself suffering by really fighting hard for the things that don't fit me at all. And you might think that was pretty silly. If I'm walking around in a sweater that's 3 sizes too small, a color that does not fucking look good on me, and it's itchy as hell, and I'm sitting there going, no, this is totally for me. But you can see how I'm contorting myself just to try to get into this thing that's not fitting me. How many relationships do we choose like that? How many jobs do we choose like that? How many situations in our lives? How many truths do we choose to believe? So that we can squeeze ourselves into expectations. Our own expectations, someone else's expectations. Gingerbread, any tips on how to lead the collective out of this crisis? Start with you. The truth of our reality is that you are stuck in subjective experience. And because of that, there is a limitation to how much you can affect the world outside of you. By force. True power to change the world or adjust anything is happening outside of you is by cultivating that within you. So bring yourself out of crisis. Lead yourself out of divisiveness. Heal the judgments and the pains and the hate within yourself. Find the prejudices. Find the assumptions and expectations that cause you suffering. And let them go. Heal them. Carrie, not sorry, you said you know how many adult kids that have never gotten that structure. Okay, so you're referring back, Carrie, to, or that comment was back when I was talking about child development, right? And schedules. It's funny that you say, right? You know how many kids never got that? Didn't get that rigidity, didn't get those schedules, right? And what are we seeing more and more of now? Neurodivergency. Flexibility in the brain. A different kind of brain development. a kind of brain development that makes it difficult for you to adhere to the compartmentalization of our society, that make it difficult for you to deny yourself your authentic expression. Almost as if that's a good thing for our collective evolution. Almost as if the collective is leading itself out of this crisis. Out of the crisis of ignorance. By being born with the nature of curiosity and willingness of discovery, of expansion. I laugh sometimes at every time some sort of new, right? For a while there it was bipolar. Everybody's suddenly getting diagnosed bipolar. Everybody's suddenly getting diagnosed like ADHD, ADD, PTSD. They're finding all these diagnoses for everybody. More and more and more and more. Hey Sarah, how are you? And I don't see that as a problem. I see it as an evolution. The collective, the energy, creation is built on that moves with the Fibonacci sequence. The very nature of the universe is to expand and create. And so systems that try to prevent that further creation, try to prevent and compartmentalize and restrict that movement, are not going to last forever. Because even a flower, a delicate, adorable little dandelion, can break through concrete. Eventually, rigidity breaks down. Eventually, the movement of the universe itself will destroy everything that stands in its path of creation. So, if you are recently or longer diagnosed with neurodivergency, I encourage you to see it as an evolution and to learn to be true within it. Even two tulips, even tulips, Robert Lee. The nature of creation is to expand. The same thing happens when we're parents with our children. When we try to hold boundaries that are too tight for the nature of our children's growth, what do? We create tension in our relationship with our children, or the children create, let's not say that. The growth process creates tension. And when we as parents keep that space too small for them, they are going to push against the walls. Not because they're out to get you. Notice the theme here? Not because it's, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not trying to fight you. They're not trying to be assholes. They're not trying to create discord. They are expanding. They are growing. And if they're younger than the age of 7 or 8, then they're even doing so still in the dream time. Yes, J. Falcon, despite you. The best thing we can do oftentimes is get the fuck out of our kids' way. You guys know the poem, I say it often. It's the one by Khalil Gibran called On Children. The parent is the bow and the child is the arrow. It is the responsibility of the parent to bend so that we may propel our children forward. And because time moves in that direction, that is the illusion that we live within, it seems not just ignorant, but something else, to hope for our children to be in our image. We are the old thing. We are the dying thing. We are the fodder from which they grow. We are the rich soil, or not, that feeds their growth. We are not the walls. We are the bow. We are the soil. And you would never hope for a tulip to become the soil. It does eventually for that next generation, as each generation is tilled in, tills themselves in. Robert Lee, speaking of words, can I make a video on my favorite vocabulary words? Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I am one of those people, Robert, I will tell you right now, and everybody else, I am not a favorites kind of person. I struggle with any favorites, and that's partially just like the nature of the things that I've done to my brain, right? uh, that I like, if you ask me my favorite, I'll tell you my favorites today. Or I'll tell you my favorites up until now, right? There's not, or like the variety of favorites that I have. But asking me favorites is asking a Gemini to make a decision, and I have a Gemini rising, and so or asking a Pisces to tell you what was right or wrong. Ooh, the rainbow is your favorite color. Nice. Robert Lee, are you Virgo too, or are you just Virgoing me? Are you just calling me out for being a Virgo and having favorite words? Because I totally do have favorite words, but it's really just the favorite word based on the day. Oh, thank you, Red. I love you guys so much. Thank you. I want to take a moment and just offer gratitude, because for those of you who have been here for a while and have watched this journey, I'm sure that you have seen me unfold. And I have never ever been, I really have not been a social media person. I've not liked it very much at all. I rarely used it before. And these last 2 years have been a leap of faith. A really big leap of faith. Because my truth, my purpose is that all of these things I've learned, all of these things I have discovered, all of these things that I have gathered over my lifetime, I did it to help me. I did it to learn and grow and understand me. And hopefully someday be a decent parent to my kid. But these things have been not just helpful, not just cool tools to use sometimes, but some of these things have brought me out of the darkest, deepest, scariest places in my life. These are the things that have afforded me the opportunity to walk myself out of the back of the cave, out of fear, out of apprehension, out of so many places. And with your help, I have been able to show the parts of myself that were afraid, the parts of myself that talked down to me, the parts of myself who said, you're too fucking stupid, you're too fucking white, you're too fucking girly, you're too fucking this, you're too fucking that, you're too fucking young, you're too fucking ignorant, you're too fucking all these things. Because I am a Virgo, and I do try to reach that perfectionism. If I attempted to stay within that aim for perfectionism, I'd never share anything at all. And it's funny because just in this last week, especially as we've gotten over 10,000 here on TikTok, and the general motion, right, the general traction on the stuff that I share has increased lately, and that's amazing. But it also comes with people coming in and critiquing, right? The way that I do things, or the way that I say things, or what I share. And this is why I go back again and again and again. I want to remind everyone in here, I am not your guru. I am not a master. If I'm a master of anything, it's fuckery. It's change. It's shenanigans. If anything, it's curiosity. If anything, it's willingness. Might be a fever. Curiosity and willingness might be a fever within me. But to have walked myself out of the places I have been, and to be able to have the voice and now the platform to share with you guys the genuine things that have helped me, and to give you the power to discover your own guru. No, I don't give it to you. I just reflect it back to you. And I know that in you being you, you reflect that for other people too. This is me walking myself home. This is me aligning with the truth of what's always been in my heart. And as scary as it is, right? Because most of us were told that our truth, that our authentic expression was bad and wrong and sinful and too loud and ugly and all of these things. And so we hide it. But the feeling of being able to allow those things finally to come out from you, to manifest through you, to be expressed, is a high that I don't find anywhere else. And yes, that still means I'm engaged in ego. Yeah, I'm still negotiating with every pirate on this pirate ship. But I have found my captain. And with humility, I am learning to navigate like the captain. I am deeply grateful for your reflections. I am deeply grateful for your support and encouragement. And I'm deeply grateful for your questions. And I'm even grateful for your critiques or even your put downs. Because when someone comes in and says, "You talk too much, shut up already," it gives me the opportunity to hold space for what I recognize as your imbalance. And when I do that, I can hold space for my own imbalance too. It gives me the opportunity to do that. Every moment can be an opportunity for us to walk ourselves home, to become inclusive, to be authentic. Hey, Behaven, how are you? Robert Lee, it's okay to be sick. The great oak rests within the acorn. James Allen. I like to say the things of like, I get to fall in love with myself because I didn't love myself before. I get to take care of this temple because I neglected it before. I get to take the journey home to myself and ultimately to God because I left home at some point, because I was lost. Fuck if I was lost. Fuck, I was lost. So take what you need from here and leave the rest for someone else. Recognize that through this little black mirror here, and even if we're meeting in person, we are just reflections. Everyone outside of us, everything outside of us is just a reflection for what is happening inside. So when I cast judgment on someone else, I recognize that it comes from some judgment within me, some rigidity within me, some tension within me. When we learn to let go of blame and guilt and shame and instead just see things as the exchange with the universe. When we let go of all the stories about what's right and wrong and good and bad, we discover what's true. And only you can find the truth in you. I'll never be able to see it completely. You can share it with me, right? And in that way, I get a glimpse outside of my subjectivity. That is how I truly begin to pull myself out of ignorance. Parlay! Parlay! Take me to your captain. Long time no see, Nat. How are you? Ah, welcome. I'm glad you're in recovery, my friend. Leb, if you want to love others, love yourself. If you want others to love you, love yourself. Everything you see outside of you is a reflection of your relationship with yourself. Nuh-uh. There's a real world out there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Again, I go back to Descartes, the philosopher who wrote a very long piece called The Meditations. And in it, he attempts to kind of prove whether or not reality exists, what is real and what is not. And he goes through several pages. I read this when I was a teenager, and I think it popped my brain in a weird way. Um, he goes through several different, like, okay, I can see that there is a candle beside me. And I can see the flame on that candle, and I can see the wax on that candle, and I can touch the candle, I can feel the candle, I can smell the candle, I can feel its warmth, right? All of these things I'm experiencing, though, are still within me. And he goes around to all these, right? Or if somebody else is, I'm just operating on some programming. I don't actually know. None of us really actually know. We can guess, we can assume, we can seek out the answers based on all the information outside of us. But I'm stuck in here. To figure out whether anything exists or not, I have to just assume that I can trust my perspective. So when you're a teenager and you don't trust yourself, that's a really hard thing to come across. Robert Lee, another James Allen, let's see. As he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. Isn't that the paradox too, right? What is the I think therefore I am? I forget who I forget who was the philosopher who did the I think therefore I am stuff. Because yes, I think therefore I am, but the I exists. I think therefore I am is my perspective and my expectation and what I create for myself within this illusion, but there's still an I am that exists before the thought. Because before I can think, I exist. Before my brain has the capacity for memory generation or thoughts at all, really, about anything, I still exist. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know, but if you want to send me a message about going live together, we can chat about doing so another time. Though I figure you won't, because most people don't. Katie, I think therefore I am means it's our main mechanical function. In the West, we rely a lot on the brain as the mode of communication and the mode of understanding the world. But thanks to the research of the HeartMath Institute and a variety of other scientific explorations, we understand that the brain is actually secondary. The brain is not the end-all be-all, but the brain is very good at creating illusion for us. And the brain is very good at operating without us realizing, operating on an unconscious level. And it's there that we can remain stuck. We can remain in our own illusion. We can remain in our perception. It's if I can't see it, touch it, feel it with my five senses, then it doesn't exist. That is to acknowledge my ignorance and say that I choose to remain ignorant. believing that if I can't perceive it, that my perception is the highest state or the end all be all, and if I can't perceive it, then it doesn't exist. Well, if I can't perceive it, then it doesn't exist to me until I can realize that my perception is limited and there is far more outside of it. Can I perceive those things once I realize my limitation? More and more so. But I have to come to the realization that I'm ignorant by the fact that I exist and by the limitation of my senses. When I recognize my ignorance and accept my ignorance rather than fighting with it out of arrogance, right? When I operate out of arrogance, I'm operating within my ignorance. Because if I truly understand the fact that the universe is much larger than me, forget from the spiritual perspective, but the universe exists. Things in the universe exists and are expansive well beyond what I can perceive, period. My scientific tools of exploration can only perceive so much themselves. More than me, yes, but I still have to perceive the thing through the tools. A good example, one of my favorite examples of this is when we have the story of two scientists, right, or two astronomers. They're looking at the moon through the same telescope. But obviously, if it's one telescope, then you can have one astronomer look through it one time and see that moon. Now, a moment later, right, the other astronomer looks through and sees the same moon. But there is a time difference between them. So ultimately, they're not exactly seeing the exact same moon in the exact same position at the exact same time, right? 2, the shape of the iris is different. 3, my memories and stories about the moon and my perceptions and understanding about the moon are different. So even if we are respectively, from a gross perspective, sure, we're looking at the same moon. You and me, no matter where we are, we look up in the sky tonight and we're going to see that. I think it's like a half moon or so now, right? We're going to see that moon. But the subtle layers of reality are that there are quite a number of differences in the way that we see the moon, in our perception of the moon. Halen, seeing the difference and similarity is so wild. The morph between them, it is so wild. I didn't grab my cards, but I have this game, and I highly recommend it to anybody. It's a fun, brain-tickling game. The game is called Set. And the goal in the game is just to create sets of 3, not pairs, right? So you find sets of 3. But the trick in the game is that your sets have to all have something the same and or all have something different. So they can all be the same color, but 3 different shapes, right? You can't have 2 of the same and 1 not. It's an amazing game because what you will notice, one of the things that I noticed when I first started playing it with people was that there were folks who were really good at finding the differences, but not very good at finding the similarities. I noticed it because when I first started playing, I was getting same. And I'm like, where are the fucking different ones? Why are you guys picking the different ones? Right? I could not see them while I was playing the game. So I had to intentionally twist my brain around to look for the things that were all different. Whoa. You want to stretch? You want to tickle your brain? You want to lead yourself out of cognitive decline? Go play Set. Ooh, I feel it. Sometimes it switches. Yes. And what it did, Halen, was give me the tools for in the future, for when I'm out in the world and interacting with things, right? And I see the differences between me and someone else or the similarities between me and someone else. I know that the opposite is also true. There are always going to be some similarities and some differences. But what I choose to focus on is going to color my perception of that person. Paradox used to really frustrate me. paradoxes used to make me angry, right? They used to feel like stops. They used to feel like walls. I'm like, fuck, I want to know what's beyond the paradox of that. And then I literally tattooed the word paradox on my belly to remind myself to laugh at it. Because laughter is good medicine. Laughter is a high frequency. Laughter is expansion. And if I feel stuck inside of a paradox, laughter is going to lift me out at least a little bit. Katie, you struggle with the big energy of fear outside of yourself versus personal fear. What do you mean? Like the fear outside of you, of things outside of you, or the fear that you perceive from others outside of you? Someone said something up here, I thought. Katie, you've thought of that? No one knows what we really look like. Have you tried a true mirror? Don't go buy a true mirror. They're easy enough to make on your own, and they're really expensive when you buy them. It's easy enough to make. Or if you have a mirror in your bathroom that has the mirror on the wall and a medicine cabinet here, or two mirrors like this, the true mirror is two mirrors put together at a 90-degree angle. When you look into that mirror and you align your middle of your face, your nose, with the center of the connection of those two mirrors, it turns your reflection around so that you can see what other people see. We can also do it now with the phones and flipping videos and stuff like that. But if you take two mirrors and put them at a 90-degree angle and hold it up, you will see what you look like to other people. Robert Lee, I often try to dissociate my perception of my visual modality or sense of sight to feel, perceive, and hear. Yes, I really believe that it's important for us to do this more and more and more, because we are collectively exploring the more subtle layers of reality, the nature of existence and of ourselves. And that subtlety cannot be perceived in the same way with our gross motor skills here. My eyes can only see the spectrum of color. As an energy worker, I have been working with seeing auras and energy all of my life. It is a subtle energy, and you can absolutely see the energy and the colors. Mijo, por favor, this is not a boat, and you're shaking it like it is one. Okay? Thank you. He goes like this. Like he's gonna do it again. Mijo, por favor. Please, it's distracting for me. Shaking the RV. Okay. Thanks, Robert. So it's exploring this nature of subtlety. My eyes have gross motor skills. My eyes can only see so much. But my heart, my brain can only perceive so much. My heart can perceive more. My heart can perceive more. Again, we have amazing scientific exploration here about the heart, the function of the heart, what it does, how it works, and all that stuff. So we are in a time where I encourage everyone to close your eyes and look with your heart, to cover your ears and listen with your heart, to shut your mouth and speak with your heart. Because this is where that truth is. This is where that authenticity stems from, comes from. Mijo, I've already asked you, I think twice. I definitely asked you once, and then I said please, and we made a joke about it, and you took the joke and decided to ride the joke a little further. I need you to please move on to the next activity. If you want to run around, there's a whole yard outside. The dog would love if you played ball with him. Okay? Thank you. There's 2 beds inside the house. Sir, we've discussed boundaries. Do you feel like this is respecting a boundary right now?
No. I'm doing it so it doesn't shake the RV.
No, I need you to stop doing it because it's shaking the RV. You walk around and the RV moves. You jumping onto your bed is going to continue shaking the RV, and that is what I'm asking you to stop doing, please. Okay? Thank you. Katie, collective fear. The struggle of collective fear versus personal fear, or any emotion, I guess. How are you with personal fear? Because again, I find, right, that everything is an echo. And so if I struggle with, okay, let me use a personal example, right? Or maybe that's a good example. Stage fright. Stage fright is something that I have always experienced, and it's something that was wiggling in my belly even before I went live today. I used to do a lot of theater and film when I was younger. Loved it. But always had stage fright. I was blessed with the opportunity to have a teacher in middle school when I first started getting on stage, Mr. Quigley, who told us that feeling in your gut, that stage fright feeling in your gut, that's giving you butterflies, that's the same excitement that you feel when you hear the roller coaster going tick, 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 tick. You know you're about to go on a fantastic ride. He says, I encourage you to put your hands up and surrender to the ride. Let that feeling be excitement rather than fear. Be willingness, right, rather than apprehension. And from then on, I always leaned into stage fright because I saw it as something that was offering me an opportunity. So that influences the way that I think about collective fear in terms of like doing something or getting something done or showing up for something, right? So my judgment, my perception of collective fear in that way, there's a part of me that says, just do it, right? The way that I meet that collective fear to show up for something or to say the right thing or to just present the self or to be the truth, part of me just wants to go, just do it, because that's my experience with that piece. And then we can look at what do we want to use in terms of that? Collective manipulation. I've been studying marketing manipulation since the 90s. That was my first experience of understanding the manipulation that comes within late stage capitalism, that comes within our culture and in our society, right? That being manipulated everywhere we turn in our culture triggers something in my solar plexus about my center for will, my center for confidence, my ability to affect the world and interact with the world, my ability to protect myself as well. For me, that collective manipulation stuff happening, that I'm still struggling with. Because it makes me very, very angry to know that you and I and everyone else here in this culture is intentionally being manipulated in so many fucking ways. It makes me angry. Why? Because I am still working to develop my solar plexus. I don't have the kind of confidence or autonomy that keeps me from being manipulated too. Sure, I'm still in my ignorance. There are still ways that I am being manipulated and probably manipulating myself, right? This is what we do. So I understand you, Katie, right? There are really difficult things for us to see in the collective, for us to experience within the collective. Hey, Zach, thank you. But the relief for all of them, the alignment for all of them, I find to be within the self. Robert Lee, 1990. I said the 90s. The 90s, and it began with a video productions class in the 90s, learning editing, learning creating videos, and yeah, we were making VHSs and shit, and making commercials and whatnot. And the wisdom of that teacher was actually what gave me the insight to start exploring this. So we had all kinds of assignments. We made all kinds of things in class, but there was only one bit of homework. And that homework was to go home and to watch, well, obviously you have to go home to do homework, was to watch commercials. At least once a week, like at least we had to come back every class with at least one commercial. And the assignment was just to compare what you thought the commercial was for and what it was actually for. He sneakily had us cultivate an awareness of manipulation that's happening in the media. And it went past commercials. We spoke about presidential debates. We spoke about doctors. We spoke about all kinds of things. And it was at that point, because at that point, I wanted to be president. I wanted to be first woman president, specifically. Not just any president, first one. First gal. And I was watching every debate. And I was watching how they didn't really talk about the issues. They just like bitched at each other or like put each other down. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then we were watching, the commercials and the things that were like the ads, how you could have one campaign ad for one person, two campaign ads for one person, and they are completely different messages. Both can be true. Huh. Is that not a form of manipulation? Is that not a very clear, I can take any perspective on some kind of truth, right? And use that to change the narrative. Depending on from which angle I share, I tell my story, is going to cultivate a certain type of understanding or a certain type of truth. We see that happening now. We've seen that happen with every single presidential debate, because that is part of the manipulation process of this culture. So yeah, since the 90s, I've been listening and watching and acutely aware of the gaslighting and manipulation. But what it afforded me was the insight to realize that me just standing here is not the only truth. If I'm going to see the whole truth, I got to stand here and 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 here as well. I am just this facet right here. And the more that I demand that my facet is the only truth, the longer I stay in my ignorance. It's just by the nature of the fact that I can't see anything beyond my subjective experience. So I can either fill myself with arrogance and believe that my ignorance is the only truth, and it will remain so. It will be my truth. This is why it's hard to just walk people out of ignorance, because it is their truth. But when I realized, when I spoke to somebody next to me, well, we had a lot of same truths. There's a little difference. And then I started traveling. Well, not started. I grew up traveling the world. And so I got to see way different perspectives, way different cultures, totally different languages and experiences and beliefs and all this stuff. And I had these like a moment here, and a moment here, and a moment here, and a moment there. And again, it might be a fever. Curiosity and willingness might be a fever within me. Because when I started to see these little bits and pieces, I was like, wait. There's a whole puzzle. There's a whole puzzle. And these are just pieces. And there's different shades within that puzzle to create this spectrum of experience that is all true. Feral Farm. You say you want to know their end goal at this point. They have made it almost impossible to survive. So I like to talk about these things from a little bit of a removed perspective, right? Because we can get really lost in the blame game, accusing this one or that one, accusing someone of manipulation, or this person of gaslighting, or this person of falsifying information, and all of those things can be true. But when we're looking at the big picture, when we step away from all those little details, we remove the attachment to all those little details. And it helps us see the bigger picture. So, what is the purpose of these structures? How have the structures gotten this way? Hey Liz, reach out to me, babe. Or come into the Discord. Send me a message. I can send you a link. The system has gotten to the place that it is now primarily through information control. Long ago, in the more foundational places of these current systems that we see, where they were seeded in, where they were born from, information was available only to the very few. And so everybody else had to just take their word for it, right? That's a really easy way to control the masses. If you control the information, then you control the narrative. And you create the truth. You create the illusion. Maybe there is somebody or some families or some specifics out there who have some ill intention for it. I'm sure there are, but there's also not. Again, let's step back. As we have evolved, as we have grown, as we have gone through generation after generation after generation, more and more of that information becomes accessible. Because ultimately you can't control all information unless you put a muzzle on all of our mouths, right? Zip them all up and prevent us from speaking to each other. That's why they don't like TikTok. So people all over the world can come here and speak their truth. Relatively unfiltered. Yeah, I know TikTok takes stuff down and does all the censorship and stuff too. But it's about controlling information. Controlling the narrative to create the truth. The truth that you have to schedule your baby's feeding time. The truth that you have to start feeding them at 6 months, solid foods. The truth that you have to go to college. The truth that you have to accept a subpar wage for your payment. The truth that you have to buy the newest car, and you have to keep up with the Joneses, and you have to work your fucking life away until you get old and retire, and maybe then you might be blessed with something, but you have to take that risk and trust that the system is going to take care of you. That's the narrative, because it benefits the system. The system is its own entity. The system has its own desire to stay alive, to keep operating. But because it is a system based on control and force, it is a system that is destined to die, that is destined to fall apart. It is an exclusive system when everything else in the universe is inclusive. It tells us, no, it doesn't ask us. It demands that we ignore our truth, our authentic nature. Think about all these pieces of it, right? When my child is born, my culture tells me to slap a diaper on that baby. But did you know that infants have a natural response to relieving themselves? They'll tell you before they do. I'm a diaper-free coach. So I actually went through the training and did it with my own son and have done it with several other kids. This is not, again, yeah. It's from experience. Our culture says Teach that infant to ignore their body. Because it's more convenient to put a diaper on them and let them just do what they do, and then you'll change it when you have a second. The most difficult thing for parents wanting to go diaper free with their infants and babies and children and whatnot, right, is that it takes attention and time and practice. It's a dance. It's a relationship that you build with your child as you support them in learning how to pay attention and what to do when these things come up within them. Let's add another piece. Still on infants, still in infancy, we are told that we should put our children to sleep at certain times, and they're supposed to sleep in certain times. Ignore whether or not they're tired and put them on your schedule so that it suits your schedule for working, which benefits the culture. Put them on a feeding schedule too. Teach them to ignore their own body's request for nourishment and to eat on a schedule. And then measure all the ounces just to make sure that they are getting exactly the amount of ounces they need, because it's not a dynamic system where they need different amount of ounces every single day. No. You should measure it exactly and make sure that their systems become used to all of this measurement and compartmentalization and timing and structure. What do all those things do but teach the infant to ignore its own impulses? And we continue to do this throughout childhood because it's our culture. As a parent of an 8-year-old, I'm doing the same thing. I am trying to do so with as much wisdom and insight as I possibly fucking can. It's why I went to school. But there are many, many ways in which my culture influences heavily the way that I parent. And potentially, probably most certainly, leads me to do, say, and be the kind of parent that is going to cause him some trauma, some difficulty, some shit to heal later on in life. But when I recognize that my culture has given me these things, that they're not intrinsically true, that it's the narrative, current narrative, and hasn't always been the narrative. That's when I can start to step back from the frustration and the struggle of being within this culture and start to imagine a different way of being. This is why we cultivate authenticity in this space, because authenticity is the one thing, the biggest thing that this culture does not want you to align with. Why? Because if you are authentic, if you reach self-actualization, you have no need to subjugate yourself to a system that doesn't take care of you. You have no need to bicker and fight and be divisive and earn them money over wars and separations and challenge, whatever. There's money to be made in our arguing, in our divisiveness, in our bickering about, whether red or blue or green or yellow is better. And they can sell us things so that we can show whose team we're on. It's an amazing moneymaker. But it is not. There are so many other things. Feral Farm, diaper-free sounds interesting and cheaper. Precisely. Putting a diaper on your child benefits the culture, has become part of the culture because it benefits the system. Companies that make diapers make a fuck ton of money, don't they? How many people do you personally know? I want one person to raise their hand in here and say that they know somebody who's done diaper free. You too, Road. Does anybody know somebody who's done diaper free? Now, I know I don't have a ton of people in here, so it's not really an amazing selection, right? It's not a good selection of the whole. But many of us had not only do not know people, but haven't even heard of it. Because that is the narrative of the culture. And guess what? Ooh, this is the part that gets me. It wasn't even that long ago that diapers were not even a thing. It wasn't even that long ago. But all you need is a couple generations, and then nobody's here to argue with the narrative when they change it, when it's changed, when it's shifted to continue to benefit the system and not the individuals within the system. That is why it is a dying system. And that is why it's an imperative for us to start stepping outside of the system and saying, how can I take my autonomy back? How can I be true to who I am? For many of us, that also then that comes after the question of who the fuck am I? Ooh, Feral Farm, you have a new grandbaby on the way. Reach out to me if you guys want to do some, if you want to do some diaper-free coaching with the parents. I'm happy to walk you through the processes so that you can share it with them, or we can do something with them too. And you're close to me, aren't you? I could probably go up there. I probably can visit you and do it. Pond Guy. Diapers were originally invented in 1887. Thank you. Did you go and look that up? Yes. Cloth. She's in West Virginia. Okay. Cloth. And they were not used in the same way. Yeah, you did. Okay, thanks. They were not used in the same way that they have been used in the last several generations. Now we have 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds in them. And when you don't have all these disposable deals, right, you only have X amount of cloths. Like, it's not that you're buying throwaway perishable diapers again and again, plastic shitty crap like that. It's not the same as having a handful of these rags that you use to lay underneath your baby. Teaching a child to use the proper facilities was something that was pretty regularly done by the time they're about a year to 18 months. By the time they can get themselves to it, that's when that happened. Up until that was a process that the caregivers were teaching the children from the beginning. The point is that these disposable diapers serve the system even more. Liz, and that's it. I was just talking about that earlier, right? It does trigger me too. It hits a nerve that the thieves in the system are the problem. It hits a nerve when I believe that there is someone specific there who is trying to be a bad person, right? But when I come back from it and see that there are people who have benefited from the system and continue to benefit from the system and therefore would like the system to say the same, are just continuing to operate within their ignorance. And sometimes even justifying or like holding tighter into their ignorance because it's still working for them. If in my ignorance I was fucking wealthy, do you think I would try to enlighten myself? And in realizing in my enlightenment, give away my wealth? In this world, it's very easy to remain ignorant when you can pay off wisdom, when you can pay for wisdom. You're not going to have it for yourself. It's not going to be within you, and it's not going to lead you to self-actualization unless you consume it for yourself, unless you transmute it for yourself. Does that mean that you can't be wise and wealthy? No, I'm not saying that. Please don't twist my words. But as we said before, money does not equal happiness. But it sure does in this culture equal flexibility, comfort, and a certain amount of freedom. The system is going to remain benefiting the people it benefits as long as they have control of the system. Surya, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Bol. We have a mudra for this week that helps uncover that authenticity, the truth of who you are, the gifts that you have to give to the world, that opens up your center for confidence, your center for will, your ability to interact with the world. In child development, this is the social emotional stage of autonomy versus shame and doubt. When our solar plexus is developing, we are cognitively working on autonomy versus shame and doubt. Our early experiences will teach us how much autonomy is afforded to us and how much shame and doubt that we should hold in its place of that autonomy. Because of our culture, many of us have shame and doubt where autonomy and confidence could be. It's by nature of the culture. If we feel shame and doubt, we are not confident enough to step outside of the culture and say, this is fucked up. I'm not going to adhere to this. I'm not going to pay into this. I refuse. But if we are ignorant and imbalanced and shameful and guilty and confused and scared, we're not going to fight back very much. We're not going to be too loud. We're not going to do anything to change the system because we think we're too small. And that's a narrative of the system as well. That you're powerless, that you're too small, that you're... And this is why, again, we cannot change the collective. I cannot go out there and save the world, especially not as a president. But if I cultivate authentic expression, if I cultivate inner power versus the need to engage in force, right? The finite system says fight, toil, work, swing that hammer, hit that nail, sweat, wear yourself down. These are gross motor skills. These are the basic skills of the matrix world. There are more subtle ways. That is a sense of force. That is an engagement in forces that are much more dense than the ones from which power comes. Surya, thank you. I like this distinction here. Malcore beliefs and wounds tell us shame is who we are versus guilt. Guilt is about a thing we did. Yes. And that in the solar plexus, because in the solar plexus, this is the thing we did. Shame is rooted down in the sacral, but also comes from believing that that's who we are. So affects our solar plexus as well. And there's a lot of shame and guilt that the culture offers. Or that the religions within the culture offer. Pond Guy, you've found happiness only making $1,300 a month total. We can create happiness without it. By the way, I love your videos. You're so funny. You crack me up. Every time I come across something of you, you're like, there's something silly. I love your shenanigans. You're adorable. Yes. So One of my favorite things about coming on live and sharing these things, right, is to be able to see people's perceptions and judgments as they come up here in the feed. One of my favorites is when people come in and, you know, tell me that the things that I share are worthless because I have milk crates in the back here, or that my life is not abundant because I'm not making a six-figure income. I did make one. I have already. It afforded me the ability to travel the world. It afforded me the ability to spend 12 years in college. Abundance is so much more than that. It is just the culture that tells you that it is the dollar bill that brings you your happiness, or that brings you love or peace or comfort. And then it tells you to fight and to struggle to get it. Which is the very thing that wears you down. And when you do get it, you're so tired you can't use it. Damn. Kept, the more money I have, the more nervous I get. The more money I have, the more I share. The more I share it. Because if my life is abundant, then that abundance overflows. And I like the creativity of being able to be resourceful, right? Y'all, I had some folks laughing at me last year because I was trying to do videos of like all these things of like reusing things, right? So one of the things that I do is, yeah, I'll buy a box of like, I have reusable ones too, but I'll buy a regular box of little baggies, right? Sandwich baggies. I rinse those out and use them several times over. Like, there are a lot of ways where I reuse, repurpose. I like living off grid and out in the woods, and so it's really handy to do that. And in doing that, I have found that I actually don't need that six-figure income. But the time that it takes me to generate that kind of income from the ways that I was doing it before, the ways that the culture told me I should do it, by being a human doing and not a human being, took away all of the fun and the play that I was earning from it. Or I thought I'd be earning from it. More money, more problems. Now I've got 90s stuff playing in my head. Yes, and this is about minimalism too, right? I had the realization that the more I have, the more upkeep I need to maintain it. The more things that you have, right? The reason I love my milk crates is because they're so fucking versatile. I've had these for years because they fit in every space. They carry all the things. They're strong. They won't fall apart. These are really fucking valuable. And they're useful, right? The more trappings that I have in the material world, the more I am attaching myself to the material world. And I gotta say that that's not bad, right? We're stepping back from judgment, not good or bad. It just is the thing we choose. And I've spent time attached to the material world, doing the material world things, swimming upstream, climbing mountains. I am in my floating era, my levitating era, my receiving era. I am in my human being era. Because the system, the one that pisses me off because it's trying to manipulate everybody for, the benefit of the few. Because the system doesn't want me to do this. The most radical thing I can do is to sit back, open my hands, and invite the road to rise to meet me. Invite what is most aligned with me into my life and nothing more. I don't need anything that is not aligned with me. But the culture, as a consumer, wants me to be a consumer and wants me to get all of the things that might be, or better yet, all of the trappings that make me look and appear like the thing that I would desire to be. Not the thing that I truly am, but the thing that the culture tells me I should want to be. Pawn guy, that's awesome. If I make anything more, I'm giving it away. You just gave me a reason to declutter. Yay! It's good to do. Feral Farm, I understand why highly spiritual people hardly have anything. It weighs you down bad. Yes, and right, we want to stay away from any sort of extreme sort of thought. I want to stay away from, and I want to cultivate the space where we allow for different experiences, right? The truth of differing experiences. And so I want to take this piece though, because yes, there are people that are very spiritual who have let go of the material trappings. And there is a very spiritual aspect to also being involved in this world, too. Right? There are certain belief systems that tell us that the material world is actually bad and prevents us from our spiritual experience. And that is its own extreme, because it denies the very true experience that we have in the material world. And again, that's like saying money is bad or it doesn't bring happiness. Well, the fact is that I live in this culture and in this world, and if I go down to the store, they're not going to take my good graces as payment. They're not going to take a pretty smile to buy my milk and eggs. I know, Feral Farm, and I just wanted to add, and I wanted to expand on the concept. I didn't think that you meant it just in that way, but I wanted to note it to keep that breath, right? Because it can be a misconception. Also, like you're only spiritual if you eat a certain way or you pray a certain way, right? Any of that, I just always kind of want to step back and give everyone permission that there is not just one way. That is its own manipulation. That is its own narrowing of the aspect of creation. Wait a minute. Creation expands and opens up. And you're telling me that the only way home to God is to completely narrow everybody into a real field. You're telling me that creation does all of this. And if I'm to return to creation or to God, I have to do this? In only this one path? Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism? The Pond Guy, I'm not against religion, but I've chose not to get involved in one. I started in one. I was in one. Hey, Bishop. I walked away from that one. And in walking away from Catholicism, I used to think I wanted to be a nun. I used to want to go to the nunnery. I had such a personal, very visceral relationship with higher power that in my early years, I truly thought, I was like, I need to be a nun. I need to go disappear into the Himalayas maybe and become a Buddhist. I don't know what it is. I need to go disappear and become a spiritual something like, all the time. Right? That's all I wanted. Well, then it was to become president. When I realized that I wasn't going to be a nun, then it was to become president. Pious, perfect, martyr. When I left those constructs was when I began to strengthen my relationship with Christ, with God, with Brahman, with Source, with light and dark. In Catholicism, we learned that that darkness is bad. You have to admit your wrongs and pray for forgiveness and just hope that you can deny the darkness long enough to be accepted back into the special place of heaven. So that God itself, himself, didn't destroy you in your life. Sounds like a threat, doesn't it? And that's how I was raised, with Catholic father, stepdad, Catholic adult. Do as I say, how I say, when I say, and if you step out of line, there are intense, painful consequences. You must shape yourself into my expectation, otherwise you're bad. Anything that you do, say, and are outside of what I say you should do and say and be is wrong. You can feel that as a manipulation. I think each of us, especially as children, maybe we forgot by now, but each of us as children felt the pain of that manipulation. Leb, I like that evolution. Can't be a nun, I'll be president instead. And then I didn't want to be president because I realized that I wouldn't really have power as president, and that I didn't not want to engage in the manipulation tactics that are used in politics. I realized that that's why wise people don't go into politics, is because it's not a system that is built for wisdom. It's a system that is built for force and bickering and these divisive tactics. When we shift our government to a system that is inclusive rather than divisive, then I'll consider presidency. But the reality of our truth is both light and dark, is both spiritual and very material, is both wise, higher self, and animal nature, primitive self. All exists within the whole. These are just different colors on the rainbow, right? I am pure light, just filtered through a prism. We are pure source, pure light, filtered through the prism of illusion of consciousness. And so we become all separated into the illusion of. Imagine the rainbow itself. Can you imagine red bitching at orange and being like, you're too close to me, get off? Can you imagine yellow yelling about purple? Oh my god, it's so dark over there. You're so fucking dark. What's wrong with you? This is what we do. I want everyone to go wear a solid color today and go find someone else wearing a solid color. I'm talking about, like, I feel like we need to do like a flash mob, right? Like everybody just show up in solid colors and then just start bitching at other colors when you find somebody else in another color, being like, existence yelling itself, existence itself yelling at itself. In our ignorance, we do. Yellow is so judgmental. Yellow can be quite aggressive. Yellow is pushy. It's true. Yellow's the middle child. Get off! Badass blind woman, I just saw you, all the little, the hearts you put all there, and smack in the middle, right, is yellow. Yellow is that red. No, it's not. It's not. Well, when you put the extra one there, but it is. It's the middle child. Get off me. And every color has a frequency, has a wavelength, yes? Just like sound has a wavelength, yes? Yes. And so what red resonates oh. That's the earth. That's the ground. That's the low bass baritone in the chorus. And it's a beautiful tone. But it's just as important and just as valid as we need all of those pieces. Nothing is wrong with any of them. But your culture, many of us, our culture, has taught us that if someone looks, acts, says, is different from you, and you are right, then they must be wrong. So let's enlighten ourselves to the realization that every piece of the light is important to understanding the whole, to seeing and perceiving and experiencing the whole. In a world that relies on your ignorance and even encourages your willful ignorance, the most radical thing that you can do is be curious and willing. The most radical thing you can do is to cultivate your attention and your intention so that you can align your intentions with your truth. So that you can use your attention to enlighten yourself, your system, and your world. How do we affect the world outside of ourselves? Start at home. Start here. Everything in my world is a reflection of what is happening in here. And it's based on where my system, how balanced or imbalanced my system is. Take the story out of it, take the emotions out of it, and see it as the function of reality that we're in. And if I know that when the scales are out of balance, my measurement is always going to be off, then I want to balance my scales, yes? So that I can know that I am making measurements from a balanced place rather than out of my own ignorance, out of my own imbalances. How do I do that? How do I know if I'm balanced or not? In a million ways. I don't know, it depends on the situation sometimes. I find that the more intense the emotional feeling, the physical, cognitive responses are in the material, waking, conscious world, oftentimes the more intense my visceral reaction or my cognitive or emotional reaction, the more imbalanced my system is. That's why I know I'm still cultivating my solar plexus, is because the things that like manipulation and aggression and autonomy and things like that, those things trigger the fuck out of me when people are manipulative, when people are too aggressive or aggressive, right? When people are arrogant, it really triggers the fuck out of me because my balance is not here yet. I am still cultivating that balance. And so from every time that's triggered, I recognize that it's triggered in that way out of my own imbalance. I don't accuse somebody else of being too aggressive for me. I notice that the level of aggression that they are comfortable with was not comfortable for me. And then I can decide, does that mean that I should like move somewhere else and not hang around this person? Or can I maybe find some insight and reflection in that relationship with that person while still keeping myself safe? Can I use it as an opportunity to set boundaries and practice my autonomy? Practice my confidence, even in the face of somebody else's judgment. This is how I align myself. Practice. Process. By listening within me. Andrew. Shrimps are bugs. Water bugs. But they're important too. Shrimps are on the spectrum of rainbow colors. Maybe they're also on the spectrum. Stay blessed, Andrew. Love you too. All right. So, our mudra this week. Let's do it one more time. And then I want to tell you guys about what's happening on September 1st, because we are starting a new thing on September 1st. I have barely touched my coffee, and now it's all cold. The Surabhi Mudra, Surbahi, the Sanskrit word meaning cow. So, this mudra is done like so. Bring your palms together. Remember for this, remember as we go forward that it's right over left, okay? Open up your fingers, keeping your palms together. Cross your ring fingers right over left. Right over left. Bring your pinky to touch the opposite finger. So that's left pinky touching my ring finger. And my right pinky touching my left ring finger. So you've got this nice little shape here. Do the same thing with the next two fingers. Crossing right over left. Middle fingers, right over left. Index, left index touches the pad of the right middle. Right index touches the pad of the left middle. Yes, it is a little bit funky to get into. Did you notice what I just did here as I was doing that? I turned my palms. So as you do this, turn your palms open. Keep those connections between those fingers. Make it easy for yourself. And then reach your thumbs together. It's okay if it's tilted. It's okay if it's not a perfect representation of this mudra. It's not about perfection, it's about practice. It's about presence, it's about the process. So bring this mudra once you have those connections made and hold it here at your heart, or at least on your sternum. So it can be up here at your heart. I find it a little bit easier to hold if it's below at the base of my sternum. What does this mudra do? This mudra balances the Vata dosha, air element in the body. This mudra works on cough and bile disorders. So because it works on Vata, also works on the breath, also works on the lungs. This works to open our Manipura chakra, open our solar plexus chakra. That is our center from which that authenticity erupts. Erupts? Yeah, I guess so. Where our self-confidence, this is our solar center. It's the center for the light of our expression. It's the first I will. It's the first interaction of expression of our truth, of our personalities. It enhances memory. This mudra also works to reduce inflammation, specifically in the joints, rheumatoid, and to improve upon our flexibility and mobility, keeping us flexible and fluid. Because of all of these things that it does, it helps bring to the surface the gifts within us, the gifts that are meant to benefit all beings, the miracle, the profound things that we come here with, the uniqueness of our frequency. That's what this helps uncover. It helps to clear the channels of that expression. The cow mudra. Surabhi Mudra. And today in our practice, we did a mantra with this. The mantra is Om Sri, O-M-S-R-I, Sri, Surabhi, 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 Namaha, Namah. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. Om Sri Surabhi Namaha. This is the mudra for generosity. The generosity that is our unique gifts. The cow. The cow represents that foundational nourishment to receive. It's not the maiden, not even the mother itself. Yes, a mother. But it is a representation of the way the universe takes care of us, nourishes us, and gives us these innate gifts. So, in the spirit of clearing those channels, in the spirit of bringing us out of our own ignorance and into the light of our authentic expression, we are starting a 40-day meat suit challenge. I call them meat suit challenges because I call my body a meat suit. So, 40 days, these 40-day challenges are a daily practice for 40 days. Why 40 days? Because it takes about 40 days for us to solidify a new habit into our lives. Kriyas. Kriyas are things that we do for ourselves. Kriyas are often things that we do to clear or align ourselves with truth and to release karma. Karmic actions, karma comes from things that we do outside of ourselves and interacting with the world. Kriyas don't generate karma within. So this Kriya, I was actually going to do the Kriya for releasing Runana Bandha, which Runana Bandha is our karmic debris. This is stuff that we come in with within this lifetime. It's also stuff that we can get from interacting in this lifetime just with the world, right? That karmic stuff that we get from interacting with the world, as well as what we receive from generational stuff that we inherit from our generations or previous lifetimes. They're called Runana Bandha, and they're visualized as stones in the pelvic floor. So I was going to do a Kriya for these things because I had been working with a Kriya for the last little bit. However, in being true, right, being authentic, asking, is this for me or is this not for me, I have run into hurdle after stumbling stone after pothole again and again and again, trying to create the content to do that Kriya. So I was just sitting the last couple of days and going, should I even do this one? Is there another Kriya I should do? And I was already thinking, I should probably redo that other Kriya that I did recently at the beginning of this year, because that one was really powerful and I could probably use it again. And then yesterday, somebody commented about that particular Kriya. So guess what? The universe echoed back. We are going to be doing the Kriya for addiction, the Kriya to release addiction. Starting September 1st, it's going to be a 40-day practice. Ideally, when we do these 40-day practices, I encourage you to do the practice every single day. It's just a 5-minute practice. And to make sure that you do it for the full 40 days. If you are not in a place where you want to do a 40-day commitment, everyday thing, that's okay. Honor where you are. You can even practice the Kriya if you'd like to. But to get the most benefit out of the Kriya, it's important to do that every single day. And every single day as a practice also helps you develop a sadhana, also helps you develop a daily practice, which is imperative to building trust with yourself. So if you don't have a daily practice, I encourage you for the next, starting on the 1st, for the next 40 days, go ahead and do this little 5-minute practice every single day with us. So the way this is going to work is that I am going to come on live every single day for a little bit more than 5 minutes. I'll introduce the Kriya, we will practice the Kriya, maybe spend a few minutes afterward, but I probably won't be on for more than 10 minutes. So it'll be a quick thing. I don't know exactly what time yet, but I'm working on that. I'll get all that information out by the end of the week. It's already Wednesday today, Deb. All right. Every day I will also put out a video with a timer on it. So instead of putting on your own timer, look for the video and you will be able to play that video for the duration of the practice, so you don't have to listen to a dinging timer and you don't have to watch the time either. I will put out a video. Actually, guess what? All of these videos are already out on YouTube. We're just going to be reposting them. Question, do I ever do lives after normal working hours? It's rare. Evening time is my time. And evening time is oftentimes when I'm doing my shadow work. I have a nightly practice of shadow work after dark falls. So I very rarely go live. It's usually for shenanigans and silliness because I am not in a place of, I'm not in this place, right? It's a different space that I go into in the evenings for that. So not often, but sometimes yes. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just felt wind right there.
Okay. Can you please use your stool instead of climbing on the shelves? Okay, thank you. Okay, so there will be a daily video. I'm going to go ahead this week and I'm going to schedule those videos. So those will be at like midnight or something like that. So everybody, you guys can always have the video waiting for you in case you do the Kriya before we start, before I go live. Again, I don't know exactly what time I'm going to go live. It'll probably be like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. The timer will be posted every single day for 40 days. There's also the instruction video that you can return to again and again and again. Why the Kriya for addiction? An addiction is anything that you engage in that is pulling you off balance, that continues to pull you off balance, and that you continue to choose even though it's pulling you off balance. And we see these things, any kind of addiction, any kind of attachment to something, any kind of attachment, as a disconnection between the third eye and the pineal gland. Our third eye, the channel through our third eye, at the front is here at the brow, and at the back is at the pineal gland. This is the channel for higher wisdom. This is the channel for communing with our higher self as well as with divinity, as well as with our lower self, as well as with the earth, right? If I have a disconnection to these higher states of knowing and understanding and wisdoms, then it's much easier for me to maintain my attachment to things. It's much easier for me to even maintain my attachment to things and deny that they are taking me off balance. So this is a Kriya that clears that pathway and strengthens the connection between the front and the back of your third eye chakra. Like I said, it's just a 5-minute practice. But if you do it every day for 40 days, I can guarantee that energetically it will affect your system. I know that in doing this one earlier this year, that it progressively got more intense. And that is, a sign that it's working, a sign that there is progress happening. It wasn't the same single practice every single day. So I encourage you to play with this practice. I encourage you to join me for the full 40 days if you'd like to. Remember that the videos will always be there. So if you want to start later or if you have to restart in your count, then go ahead and do that. Surya, addiction is self-soothing and most times maladaptive. Kriya helps with the root of the discomfort. Yeah. Energetically. So for those of you, again, who know me, you know that I have been working with energy since I was little. It's a family lineage that I've received, and I've done other trainings as well on top of it. So everything that I share in this space comes from the foundational understanding of ourselves, our systems as an energetic system, and the way that that energy moves through and around our physical body, through and around our cognitive body, through and around our emotional body. That's why I love working with the energy, because it goes through and around all of these different pieces. So if I am working to adjust my heart rate, I can use that. If I am working to adjust my thought patterns, I can use those energy practices. So keep an eye out for that. If you are a member of group coaching or above memberships, we do have group coaching tonight at 4 o'clock. Group coaching now happens on Wednesday and Saturday evenings at 4 p.m. There's another reason I'm not going live in the evenings. I'm oftentimes doing group coaching and other things like that, or it's family time, right? And I do go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. So I'm live for quite a lot of time during the daytime. It's just not in the evening. So group coaching is tonight. If you are not a member and you want to get involved in group coaching, you can either send me a message or you can go to my Patreon page. Remember that in this space, guys, information is free. I have spent my lifetime searching information out because I wanted to know why and how and when and where about humans. I wanted to know what makes us tick and how do we heal. I wanted to know how to bring us together, right? How to heal the collective rather than engaging in further divisiveness. So, through all of that, I developed this big fat toolbox back there that has actually offered me healing, progress, enlightening my body and my mind. And I'm not a master. I'm not your guru. I am my own guru. And everything I share in here is just a reflection of that, of my process, of my experience and my understanding. It's not for everybody. That's okay. Take what you need in here. Feel into it. Let it echo through your heart until you distill and keep only what's true for you. Let go of what the rest. Let go of the rest. Because it might be for somebody else. It might just be for me. Who knows? But if you would like to work directly with me, that my time is, like I said, quite valuable. So I do charge for memberships to work directly with me. I do have donation memberships if you want to support this, sharing these information and these tools and these practices online for that many hours a week. I do it pretty much for free. It's you guys' support that allows me to continue to do so. And now that we're over 10,000 followers on TikTok, the content can pay for itself. So if you guys can just share as much as you can, interact as much as you can, we'll get this free classes to pay for themselves. Syria, thank you. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your reflections as well. This is not a space that I cultivate by myself. I can't do that by myself. This is a space where we exchange, where we value each other, and we practice these tools that are bringing the collective together, that are enlightening the self and therefore enlightening the collective and therefore enlightening creation. I'm not a master. I am not a guru, but you. You have a guru within, and it is that guru that leads you from darkness to light. Are there gurus and teachers and wise or ignorant people outside of you that are going to teach you? Even the most, actually, you know what? Let me just say that. Sometimes the most difficult people in our lives are our gurus, because they lead us out of the darkness and into the light. They help us walk out of the darkness and into the light. We think of guru, right, as someone wiser than us, enlightened, that is going to lead us all the way to our self-actualization if I just follow them and do what they say. But that's never the case. If you're sitting with your guru and your guru says, close your eyes and focus your inner vision on your belly button, no one can do that but you. And your guru can do nothing for you if you choose not to. The choice is up to you. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. Waheguru, Waheguru, Waheguru. I love you, my friends. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I encourage you to start your sadhana. Spend that 5 minutes a day. Start with just 5 minutes. If you've got 15, great. But start with just 5 minutes a day. Meet yourself with curiosity and willingness and see what arises. Come join us in the Discord if you want to engage more with the content. Come join us in the Discord if you want more resources. Come join us in the Discord if you want to continue the conversation, because that's where we do it. It is a little bit quiet in there, mostly because I am just doing all the things by myself. So if anybody has any interest in supporting the Discord space, helping with editing, audio and visual editing, or somebody who is interested in being my tech person when I am live, please reach out to me, because in this space, I actually value your service exchange far more than I value that dollar. Do I have to pay bills? Yes, obviously. That's why we have donation spot. I have a donation jar, the Cash App thing, or I have a monthly membership that allows you to donate on a regular basis to allow me to continue doing this. Again, share the content, share it with people, share it with whoever. This is always downloadable content here on TikTok, because TikTok allows it. Sorry, YouTube and everybody else. TikTok allows me to keep all my content open. Information is free. It is your right to be able to have this information. If you want to work with me on how to work with it and how to integrate it and how to use it, come on. I've got a little bit of space for a couple more private coaching clients, but I don't take on a ton at a time. So if it's something you're interested in, reach out to me. I love you so much. Go have a fantastic Wednesday. Go engage in shenanigans. Shake out the fear. Shake out the shame. And shine. Just fucking shine, you gorgeous, magnificent beast. Okay. All right. I love you guys so much. Let's see. All right. Good night, Kick. I'll see you later. And good night, Twitch. I'll see you later. Oh wait, hold on. I covered the button. There it is. Good night, Instagram. I love you.